Welcome to the first lecture of digital communication. We will briefly discuss about basic concepts of probability theory. Okay, so we in probability theory, the first step is to define something called a probability space, which is actually a collection of three objects. One is sample space, and the other is event space, and then a number p, which is called a probability. Suppose in case of coin tossing, we have sample space as head and tail. Okay, these are the possible outcomes of this experiment. And then event space is set of all subsets of the sample space. So we can have event like what is the chance of getting head when we toss a coin, or chance of getting tail when we toss a coin, or we can even ask what is the chance that it is either head or tail, or even we can ask that we toss a coin, nothing happens. These are four possible events here. Then when we say what is the chance, so we need to get something called likelihood. So that likelihood we get by a number p, which is associated with each element of this event space. It's called a probability. It has a property that it is non-negative, and the other property is this additive property. Okay, so let me explain it here. Suppose we have two sets A and B, and they have nothing in common. Then we say they are disjoint sets. Okay, so when two sets are disjoint, then it should satisfy that probability of A union B. Okay, union operator means or. So either A happens or B happens will be equal to probability of A plus probability of B. So this rule, or it's called an axiom. Okay, so we need this property to be satisfied by any quantity which we will call as probability. That the probability of disjoint events should be sum of the probabilities. Okay, and the final property is that the probability of whole sample space is 1. Okay, so this one, it means that what is probability of sample space? That something happens. Definitely when we will toss the coin, something will happen. So far, if you even if you see the book or any book on probability theory, you will see that initially the discussions are in terms of sets. Okay, so we have, suppose if I take another example of die, right? In case of die, what is the sample space? So numbers 1 to 6, right? And what would be the possible subsets? There are a lot, right? We can ask that what is the probability you get a number 1, what is the probability you get a number 2, what is the probability you get number 3, right? So on and so forth. You can ask, and then you can ask about probability getting odd number. So 1, 3, 5. Probability of getting even number. So 2, 4, 6. Okay, so on and so forth. So in that case, we are dealing with sets till now. Now, in case of coin tossing, you are talking of head and tail. But I would like to deal with numbers. So what I will do is I will map this head suppose to 0, and I will map this tail to 1. And see, we have a sample space capital sigma equal to ht, and any of the element of sample space we denote by small omega. Okay, so small omega can be either h or t. So small omega is element of sample space. Now we map it to some numbers. Here I am mapping it to 0, 1. I can also map it to minus 1 and 1. Nothing can stop me by doing this. So we represent these numbers by x, capital X in general. And we see that it is a mapping. It's also sort of a function. So we are mapping h to 0, t to 1, or h to minus 1, t to 1. Now coming back here, so in this way we define something called random variable. So random variable I write as capital X of omega, small omega. I told you what is small omega. It is an element of sample space. and its function from this sample space to R is a set of real numbers. Okay, all any set of real numbers. So it is a function. Okay, I'm writing here misnomer because actually it is not a variable, it is a function. Now, if you see the example of die, so in case of die, we are naturally getting numbers when we throw a die. So we can directly we can do something called one-to-one correspondence. So we can x of omega in case of die will be equal to sigma to sigma, right? Because here the sigma is 1 2 3 4 5 6, so we are directly getting numbers. So we will directly substitute random variable the value which we get in top of the die. uh, in most of the examples practically, when we do random experiments, we get values as numbers itself, so we can directly assign that value to the random variable. Now we want some function which should tell us the whole story about the random variable. So in order to know about random variable, suppose if we first of all if we discuss continuous random variable. What is continuous random variable? Sorry, discrete. So you can have if you see again the example of die, you look at it here. So in die example you have the possible outcomes are 6, right? In case of coin tossing, the possible the possible outcomes are head or tail, which we also denote as 0 or 1. So these are the discrete random variables. We will see soon that there is another type of random variable in which it can take any continuous value. Suppose if it is discrete, that is a random variable can take only particular fixed values, finite number of values, then we can always ask what is the probability that a random variable capital X takes a small value x. See, what is this capital X small x? So before the experiment takes place, you are completely uncertain whether you will get head or tail, whether you will get 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 on the die. But when experiment takes place, you observe that 2 has occurred. So when there is uncertainty, we denote by capital X the random variable whose outcome we don't know what it will be. It can be any one of these. But when actually some event happens and you note down the value, that is denoted by small x. So this small x can be any of these values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in case of die examples. So if I can ask probability x is equal to small x. Now by changing small x, I can get different values. I can ask probability x is equal to 1. Now small x here is 1. I can ask probability x is equal to 2. Small x here is 2. I can ask probability x is equal to 3. Small x here is 3. So on and so forth. Now by changing this small x, by giving different values, possible values to small x, I can get the answer about probability of all the possible values a discrete random variable can take. And this is called a probability mass function. It is defined as, see the notation, small p, then capital X subscript and small x here. Now for continuous random variable, can we ask probability x is equal to x? Let's check. What is your guess? So you might think at your places. The answer is it's not appropriate question. Suppose we take an example of a wheel. In casinos you have those wheels where people gamble on it. So suppose it has a discrete gears. The wheel stops only at particular numbers from 1 2 3 4 5 6, 7 8 9 and 10. So what is the probability you get any number? Suppose what is the probability that I get 1? So it will be 1 by 10, right? What is the probability that I get 2? It will be 1 by 10 again. Probability of getting any number is 1 by 10. So its probability mass function Px of x will be 1 by 10 for all x, right? Whatever is the value of x. Now if I do one thing, instead of making this wheel to stop only at 1 2 3 4 5 6, I make this wheel as continuous, so it can stop at any point. So it's something like this. Although there are numbers marked from 1 to suppose again 10, but now it can stop even at 1.1, it can stop at root 2, it can stop at pi, it can stop at 1.41, it can stop at 3.2. There is so it's a free wheel now. Now how many possible outcomes are there? Definitely they are infinite. Now what is the probability of getting any number, right? Suppose probability of getting 1 or 2 or 2.1, it is 1 by infinity, which is 0. So I'm writing it empirically, it is not rigorously correct, but I'm just giving you an example. Now here is an example that initially the random variable was discrete when wheel would stop only at 10 points. Now wheel can stop at any point, so it is no more discrete, it is a continuous. And we saw in continuous case, we cannot basically define this type of quantity probability x to x, it will be always zero, it will be always zero. So that is what is our next point. So it is always zero. So in case of continuous, what should we ask about a random variable? We can always ask that what is the probability a random variable takes value up to the value small x. Suppose you come back to, sorry, suppose you come back to this example. I can ask that what is the probability that when I rotate the wheel, the arrow stops between 2 and 3. So I can ask probability 2 less than equal to x less than equal to 3, right? This I can already always ask. In fact, we can guess this answer also. So it will be the length of this interval, that is 3 minus 2, divided by length of total interval, that is 10. So we can ask that what is the probability random variable, continuous random variable takes value between some range, but we cannot ask what is the probability that continuous random variable takes some exact value. Okay. So when you ask about probability x less than equal to small x, you give different values to small x, you will get different answers. Okay. Suppose here you can ask in this wheel example, what is the probability that when you rotate a wheel, the number is less than equal to 1? We can ask what is the probability when you rotate the wheel, number less than equal to 1.4, right? You can ask what is the probability that when you rotate the wheel, number less than equal to pi, anything. So these are the small x values different. So in general, if you ask what is the probability that x is less than equal to small x, by changing this small x, you get all the possible such probabilities, and this is defined as capital X fx of x. It's called CDF, cumulative distribution function. Okay, cumulative distribution function. Now, okay, so I will stop at this point, and this other part we will do in in another video lecture, so that we have short videos which you can easily